Hello everyone, today I'm going to speak about the subject of the impossible democracy. Democracy is a political regime in which people rule their country. First of all, it seems difficult for billions of people to find an agreement all together to rule one whole country. That's why we are voting for people who are supposed to represent us. But how is it that only a few people can represent billions of people? I think they represent another kind of interest that overhangs the nation's interest, and that is conditioned by an elitist way of thinking. Actually, in each nation, people are different and are not all sharing the same interests because they are not all sharing the same point of view. They don't occupy the same place in the social space, and they can't all have the same dreams or the same thoughts. But in a way, capitalism makes people be more identical. Everyone has needs, and to afford these needs, we all have to make money. So in a way, capitalism made us need all the same thing because money has the power to offer us whatever we need. And there we can start to think about the strange idea of mixing democracy with capitalism, because in a way the globalization of capitalism is a kind of dictatorship in which money and the law of the global market are ruling the world, and this is not a system in which people can rule their country, is it? How can politicians find a balanced way to rule, taking into account the needs of the market and people's needs? Is it really possible? Can we really balance liberalism with democracy? Because we already observed that people were not really happy with the way the market works. From the 19th century to 1968 to nowadays, people are suffering from their working conditions and from having a lack of appreciation and recognition. We can identify that capitalism doesn't profit in the same proportions to everyone, and that some people are abusing their power. A power that they only have because they have money. Money which doesn't even exist, because most of the money which circulates in the society is a virtual money. It's only numbers. And money, a symbolic thing which has a changing value, is actually ruling the living conditions of billions and billions of people. People who finance political campaigns are expecting politicians to act in their favor. And politicians themselves, anyway, have to respond to the global market needs in their way to rule the country. So, till we stay in a capitalist way of ruling the world, it seems difficult to balance democracy with it. Despite all of that, we also add that in a society that is elitist and in which we favor people who have money and who have a certain way of life, we are punishing every other way to live, making people become marginals. Everyone learned well how to ignore those marginals, to consider them as parasitic, maybe because we are afraid that speaking to them will make us become marginals too. But how goes democracy without debate and dialogue? I mean, how can we ignore the homeless or people in the metropolitan who tries to speak about the injustice that they are living because of the society's way of working? How can we hope to have a great model of democracy if people are treating each other so harshly? How can we have a great model of democracy if people learned well how to ignore the warning of each other's? Marginals are there to recall us the imperfections of the system, and most of the time we prefer to ignore them and do as if the system was working well, pursuing our goals, and most of the time these goals are told by an elitist way of thinking, because we learned that those goals, what we had to want to reach in life. Policemen as well are employed to protect us, but also to keep the hierarchy exactly as it is. I mean, they are susceptible to control people who are not considered in the right place, when some people from the suburbs come to rich parts of Paris, they are suspected to want to rob things or anything like that. And policemen has to control those people to make them feel that they are not at the right place they are not at their place in the hierarchy. So policemen are employed as well to keep the hierarchy exactly as it is. Protecting the goods of those who own goods, for example, and to limit the power of people who claim they want more recognition in the demonstrations, for example. And people can use legitimated violence to do it. So how can we have a great model of democracy if some people are more favored than others? To conclude, we can say that there is no democracy but only an oligarchy of people who can't know everyone's interests and, in the best case, who are trying to satisfy the majority. But anyway, satisfying the majority doesn't mean satisfying everyone.